Welcome to today's science lesson. I have a little helper here today. Is she just not the cutest? I know sometimes these glasses bother her eyes, but that's actually pretty ironic, don't you think? Because today's lesson, Bella, we're talking about our five senses. We're piggybacking off of yesterday's lesson with the human body, but we're really digging into the five senses, and we're going to talk a lot about the eyes, right? So I'll take these off of you, Belle. And you could continue to wear my science coat if you want to. We're going to be teaching our lesson for today. And just to recap from yesterday, we talked all about the difference between an organ system, and an organism. So remember, it all starts with organs, and then when they work together, they're a system. And that organ system, once it works together, helps to create that organism. So they all kind of build off of each other. We talked about, again, our different senses and what our mouth do, the purpose for our teeth, and things like that. Last but not least, we talked about the brain and the nervous system. Let's grab that poster really quick. Donde está? Here he goes. The nervous system. So everything that we do and everything that we feel are all from our nerves. And our nerves are connected to our spinal cord. And once that spinal cord is connected to the brain, it's almost like it's a mail service. It delivers a message straight back to that body part, and then you react. So after I taught this lesson about the brain and the nerves and the spinal cord, Miss Kujawa went to go make some chicken noodle soup. And as I was cooking, I decided, I don't need to take the Texas toast out of the oven with a pot holder. I'll just use my bare hands. That was a big mistake because it was really, really hot, and as my hand was touching the really hot toast in the oven, I noticed it was hurting, and those nerves sent a message to my spinal cord, which sent a message to my brain that said, ow, take your hand off the toast, and then that message delivered back into my spinal cord, back throughout my nerves, and I dropped the toast back into the oven, and I made a mess. But we're going to get to some cooking videos later on in this virtual school. So we're going to continue right now. We are going to be reading pages 434 to pages 437. So not too much reading today. The first title of our first reading is called Sensing Surroundings. This lesson, you guys, is tied in with so many cool videos. I know it might seem like, there's a lot to watch. It's not that much. There's also one that's called Super Animal Senses. And you guys are going to do a discussion post after this, and you're going to talk about what your favorite animal sense was. So I'm excited to read your post. All right, we're going to annotate our tushies off, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about these five senses. Here we go. It says, a carnival is a feast of sights, sounds, tastes, and smells. How do you sense all of that information? Again, we're going to be active readers, and as you read this page, it says draw a box around the phrases that describe sensory structures. So sensory means using the five senses, like the ones right over here. Our taste, our sound, to smell, to sight, and to touch. Okay? Let's continue. It says, senses are your body's way of gathering information about the world around you. Special structures in certain parts of your body can detect light, sound, and chemicals in the air and in the food that you eat. So again, our bodies are just so aware of what's going on, and that's how we pick up that information. We're first going to start with sight. It says sight. The part of the eye that gives us our eye color is a muscle called an iris. So that part of the eyeball is what gives us that color. On the very back, it really gives you like a detailed, almost like an anatomical part, the anatomy of how it breaks down the eyeball. So you can check that out. My iris is kind of green. It sometimes gets bluish a little bit, but for the most part, I have a green iris. What color iris do you have? Is it brown? Is it bright blue? Is it hazel? So that's some of that eye talk for you. It says light enters in the eye through a hole in the iris called a pupil, and that passes through the lens and hits the back of the eye, and that's called the retina. So I almost want to just box this whole thing. I know our active reading system to box some sensory structures, but all that has to do with your sensories. It says inside the retina are special nerve cells that detect light. They send signals that travel along the nerve path to the brain. The brain interprets this information, and that is how we see. So light comes through those different organ systems, and that's how they all work together, and that's how our eyeball can actually see information. Alrighty, let's head over to, so that's this part right here. Inside the retina are special nerves that detect the light. That is really the sensory structure when it's picking up that light. All right, let's go to the next one with our hearing. So let's just keep in mind anything that's describing how our hearing works is going to be our structure. Hearing. The part of your ear that you see is called your outer ear, but the outer ear funnels sounds into the middle of the ear. In the middle ear, sounds cause the eardrum to vibrate. These vibrations are passed to tiny bones called the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. These bones pass vibrations to the inner ear. There are a fluid-filled structure called the cochlea. I say cochlea, you say cochlea. And that passes vibrations to tiny hairs to the nerves. The nerves send messages. This looks like a structure. The nerves send messages about the vibrations to the brain, and that's how you sense sound. There's a little video that I might send you. There's a lady on Ellen, and she was born without those hairs in her ears, and she couldn't hear. And then she got a hair cochlea implant in her ears, and now she can hear, and Ellen had her on the show, and it was really inspiring. So maybe be on the lookout for that video. All right, going on to our sense of smell. It says smell. When you breathe, air travels through your nose. Now inside your nose are structures that sense chemicals in the air. They are attached to nerve cells in the olfactory bulb that sends messages to the brain about the chemicals that they sense. This makes your sense of smell. So that's something that we could box right before that last sentence. Oh, running out of ink. Let's grab another one. So I want to kind of break that part down again. So inside of our nose, we have structures that can sense chemicals, and they're attached to nerves and something called the olfactory bulb. And in that olfactory bulb in our nose, it sends messages to our brain about the chemicals that we just smelled in our nose. That is amazing, and that's how we could smell. All right, D, taste. One of my favorite things to do. It says, have you ever noticed small bumps all over your tongue? I see 'em. Alrighty. It says, these bumps are called taste buds. They sense the chemicals that are in food. Taste buds are attached to nerves that send messages to the brain about the chemicals that they sense. The brain interprets this information as the sense of taste. So that last section, again, right before that last sentence, is how our taste is put into play. So, man, let me get this straight. We got taste buds, these little bumps, and those taste buds pick up the chemicals that are in our food, but attached to those taste buds are little nerves. And those nerves, they got a lot of nerve, send that information to our brain that say, that tastes good, or that does not taste good. So our bodies are super, super cool and very amazing. All right, let's do a little bit of an activity before we head up to our kind of last 2 pages. Our eyes. I love when you guys do the fill in the blanks. You guys do amazing. It says, light enters the eye through the blank. Who remembers what it's called? But if you flip it to the back, the light enters through the hole of the iris called the pupil. So if you were thinking pupil, if you went back and you found it, that was awesome. So the light enters through the pupil. It passes through the blank. Passes through the, well, we can also look at our paper here. It passes, here's the pupil. It's going to go through the lens. It's going to go through the lens. And it's going to hit the blank. And this blank is where special structures detect blank. So as the light goes through the pupil, it hits the lens right here, and then it goes straight out here, which is called our retina. That's our retina. So that's what we're going to put on the line. And the retina is a special structure that detects, well, what came through our eyes to help us see? Light. Helps us detect the light. Awesome. And that's our first fill in the blanks for the sense of sight, which is through our eyes. And it also helps that these lines are connected to this little girl's eyes. All right, let's go to the ears. It says, sound enters the ear. Vibrations pass from the blank to tiny bones. So if we kind of look at our picture, vibrations are passing through so here's our outer ear. And if we hear a sound, it's going to pass through our dum 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 vibrations like an eardrum. So think about a drum. Passes from the eardrum to tiny bones. Then it goes through the blank. So let's take a look at our picture. So through the outer ear, passing the eardrum, and then it's going to go straight to this part right here. That's like the money where we could hear. That's called the cochlea. Cochlea. So that's what we're going to write on our line. And then, once it passes through here, it hits tiny hairs that are attached to the nerves. Unbelievable. So again, in that one video, that one woman, she had all this stuff except for tiny little hairs, and that caused her to not hear at all. But thanks to technology, she was able to have some amazing surgery, so now she can. All right, our nose. It just makes me sniff whenever I read the word nose. Alrighty, it says when you breathe, structures in the nose detect blink that are carried into the air. So again, whenever we smell something, our bodies are smelling chemicals. They are smelling chemicals. And you might think, oh my gosh, that's not healthy. It doesn't always mean that kind of chemicals. Whoops. But different kind of chemicals in the air that help us distinguish and be able, oh yeah, that's a Christmas tree, or that's a fire. What's on fire? So things like that to help us. Last but not least for this page, our tongue. It says when food enters the mouth, special structures on the tongue sense blank. Well, if special structures in the air helped us pick up chemicals, on our tongue we also pick up those chemicals. Help us pick up chemicals. These structures are called blank. So again, these little dots on your tongue, those are called your taste buds. Taste buds. Alrighty. Take a minute, fill that in. Again, I love that it's video action, so you can zoom or pause if you needed to. And flip it, don't skip it. We are going to the next one. Actually, these are our last 2 pages. Here's where it gets cool, because humans, like, yeah, we're all right. But animals and bugs, this is what I'm talking about right here. All right. Sensory overload, crazy senses. It says all organisms have sensory structures that help them to survive. It's almost like those adaptations we were talking about. It says flies have compound eyes. Instead of one lens, they have over 5,000. That's crazy. And if you look really closely at that picture, all those different lenses, we have one. Well, on each eye. And they have over 5,000. That's amazing. Alrighty. Take a look at this snail. Look at those eyes. It says snails have their eyes on the ends of stalks. So here's their eyeballs at the very end. The eye spots can sense light and can sense dark. You can see eye spots on the tip of each eye stalk that is shown here. So can you guys see that little black dot? That's the eye. It's really, really, really tiny. Coming over to do this little activity before we flip it to the next page, it says, draw an animal that you are familiar with. Label its sensory organs and then describe how it uses them. I cannot wait to see what you guys are going to do for this. Man, okay, I can do really quickly. I'm going to do Bella because, she's my little helper. So I'm going to try to do my best dog that I can. Or I'm going to start with a nose. There's my nose. And I know that that's an organ. And I know what the nose does. So I guess I could draw it first. Come up here. Give her some little eyeballs. Give her her floppy ears that she's got going on. Just give her a little bit of a little body. Some legs. Give her a tail. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, she's fluffy. Put some hair on top. Okay, so something that I'm going to label, and again, you guys are much better artists than I am. I'm going to say that these are eyes. Over here is the nose. And I can also just think about like my five senses. You can see, you can smell, you can taste. I'm going to put that underneath here is her mouth and her paws. Let me give her some different toes. I'm going to say, we'll say her feet, and that helps her to touch. And we're missing one. Oh, her ears. Hello. And her ears. So again, it gave her her five senses, and then it also says describe how it uses them. So I'll just do a couple. I'm going to say her eyes pick up light to see. Her mouth, oh my goodness, this dog eats everything. So her mouth eats food, and I'm going to say slash senses chemicals, because we talked about how our taste buds pick up those chemicals, right? And I'm just going to do maybe just one more just to get you guys the gist, but I want you to do all of them. So for our ears, I'm going to say that she picks up vibrations. And I'm going to say tiny hairs, because she also has little tiny hairs that help her pick up those vibrations. So that's just one example. I can't wait to see what kind of picture that you guys use. All right, flip it on, skip it. I can't believe it. This is our last page. Holy smokes, look at that. Look at that bat. It's kind of cute. Kind of, right? They got big ears. Okay. It says bats see, what's that all about? With their ears. What? They see with their ears. Keep reading here. They make squeaking noises, and they listen for the sounds to echo back to them. The way the sound bounces and the amount of time it takes for the sound to return let the bat know what is in its path. Dolphins use a very similar system underwater. So I've actually done some research on this. If a bat went, and actually people could do this too, if you wanted to go into a cave and you want to say, man, how big is this cave? How deep does it go? You could say, hello, and if it goes, hello, 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 it's going to hit the wall, and then the sound's going to come back to you. Hello, 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 hello. If it says something like this, hello, 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 oh, that was quick. That must mean it's not a very deep cave. But if it goes, hello, 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 oh, that's a deep cave. So they do stuff like that to see how big their path is, or if the sound doesn't come straight back, something's in their path. And dolphins do the same thing underwater, because the sound does the same thing underwater. So that's amazing. All right, let's talk about smell. Moths have noses on the tops of their head. What? Their nose is on their head? So if they wanted to smell something, they had to. This is just getting crazy. It looks like maybe that's their nose. The moth's antennas have structures that sense chemicals in the air. So it's not the nose, but it's an antenna, and on those antennas, it senses those chemicals, and that's how they smell. Can you imagine? Like, that'd be kind of crazy. All right, last but not least, we are talking about touch, and we actually tried to grow one of these in our classroom, right? It's still there. I got to check on that. It might be eating everything in our room. All right, it says touch. It says the Venus flytrap has special leaves that are sensitive to the touch. When a fly lands on them, the fly touches trigger hairs, and the hairs send a message to the leaves of the plant, and then the leaves snap shut, and boom, that fly is trapped. Can you guys make a connection with something that we just read? So the hairs send a message to the leaves, and then it makes it snap. Doesn't that kind of remind you of our human body? Isn't that very similar to the nerves in our body and how it sends it up to the brain, right? That's a cool connection. That's just some super senses right there. Well, that's all I have for you today. You guys are going to annotate and fill out those sheets on your own. You have really cool videos, and I'm so excited to see your posts after you see some of the videos we watched. It is insane. I wish that I could be watching them with you because we always have a good time. But tomorrow we're going to hit into our skin, and then later on we're going to get to those brain checks, and we're going to sum up our activities, okay? Miss you guys. Check you guys out on Zoom. We're going to go over everything in class. Bye.